Hello and welcome to the channel again. This is Sam, trying to spin to win on Swift. Well, another day, another darn FRR race.
Another day, another race.
Man, they're coming thick and fast at the moment, don't they? But I have to say, I'm quietly still buzzing from my ITT yesterday. I surprised myself a bit there. Long may that continue. But in today's stage, we just have to deal with the largest climb of the world tour. Great. So, it's time to give it the beans. For that, we require...
and maximum effort.
But the one problem I face, and I say it's somewhat relevant to this discussion, is that my legs are completely dead today after yesterday's ITT. Broken, done in, kaput. You get the picture.
No more excuses.
I still have to get on with it, you say? Crap. All right then. Well, a quick look at the CRP leaderboard after 5 stages, and then we'll also have a quick look at this lovely little climb we're about to do today.
I am now sitting in 43rd place out of 100 riders that have completed 5 stages so far. So, still in the top half of the leaderboard after the ITT yesterday. And I even moved up slightly, which I'm really surprised by. But we can't take anything for granted yet. Still a long way to go in this world tour. More changes in the top 10 yet again, but the one constant is that Elena is still at the top, although her margin has come down just a little bit. And we also now have 3 ladies again in the top 10, which is great to see. And finally, my teammate Kim has moved up to 4th place after a really strong time trial. I did say yesterday that the ITT would suit him, and it seems I was right.
Okay, let's have a quick look at today's course, the Innsbruk KOM Afterparty. Truly a race of 2 halves, but no party to be found anywhere that I can see.
I will go over the course quickly here. Again, if you want a more detailed review, please look at yesterday's vlog for that. This course, where we will do 1 full lap, is really split into 2 sections. The first is essentially a 30-kilometer flat section with 3 climbs up the Legsnapper. There is also a sprint we need to deal with, but I'm hoping it will only be full gas there the first time around before people get sensible. The second half is 1 long climb, the Innsbruk KOM. This is 1 mean hill, and with 400 meters of climbing over 7 kilometers, it's the largest by some margin in this world tour. I expect most of the start pen will still be together by the time we get to the climb, but the climb itself will cause major separations in the race, and the strong climbers will really have a field day here, I think. I can climb okay for around 5 minutes or so, but this climb is 20 minutes plus, so it will be a big challenge for me, that's for sure. I covered the possible wheel choices in detail yesterday, but for me today I will go for the ARC die-cut 62 wheels, which hopefully is a good compromise between not spending too much energy on the flat section of the course and climbing reasonably well up the KOM.
Alright, let's see how we get on today. The motivation is actually better than it was yesterday before the ITT, but that's probably because I'm still somewhat pleased with how the ITT went. But I think reality check is coming, and today's course will most likely knock my confidence a little bit. But let's find out.
Let's race.
Nothing much happened in the first couple of kilometers, as expected really, and we are now approaching the Legsnapper for the first time. As for my tactics for this race, well, since I'm not going for sprint points, I just wanted to get to the Innsbruk KOM climb having spent as little energy as possible. I knew I would have to push on the Legsnapper as well as the sprint segment, but apart from that, I just wanted to draft as much as possible. Approaching the Legsnapper, I push a bit as we come off the bridge to gather some speed, and then we start to push proper. I was gauging what the others were doing here, as I didn't want to go all out if I didn't have to. I am pushing high watts here, but I felt in control the whole time, and while tired when I got to the top, I could have pushed quite a bit more if needed, I think. In the end, I get to the top with no major issues and in the middle of the pack, which is exactly what I wanted. After the race, I was surprised to find out that I actually broke my 1 minute power PB here, with some room to spare, I think. Happy days. We then get a bit of the rest, but the sprint segment comes very soon after the Legsnapper, so I am positioning myself towards the front so I can draft from the other riders as I drift back through the pack. A few people do sprint here, but it seems most of the peloton didn't have a go this time around, but decided to wait for the next lap. On the second lap, we actually did have a pretty serious attack. Mr. Hartley goes off the front pretty soon after the first sprint and immediately gets a decent gap. He actually had a domestique or a dom rider with him in this race, Mr. Waddington, and I like the comment when he made his attack that he left his dom behind. Nobody really seemed interested in closing the gap, so in the end I go to the front and push the pace a bit to get the peloton started again. After a while, as I knock off my effort, it seems then that the domestique rider decides this is a good time to push up to his rider, so he takes off, and another rider jumps on his wheel. Since I had already taken a pull on the front, I just draft here and watch if anybody else is going to react. And after a while, a few other riders do make some pulls, and the breakaway is brought back about a kilometer or so before the next Legsnapper. But it was a good go at trying a breakaway, so chapeau for that effort, guys. The second time up the Legsnapper is a lot easier, although one rider, Mr. Jordan, takes off like a rocket, pushing serious watts, and just disappears. Nobody seemed that bothered though, and after a while we catch Mr. Jordan, who then said that he had a disconnection, so he didn't see where the rest of the peloton was. So he pushed extra hard to make sure he wasn't left behind. That was some effort though, man. We are now approaching the Innsbruk KOM. Apart from a couple half-hearted attempts at increasing the pace, nothing much had happened in the race after the second Legsnapper, and the pace really dropped off in the last few kilometers before the big climb. There was a lot of discussion about agreeing to go at 3 watts per kilo as a group to minimize E-gap, but that went out the window, as it always does when the climb started. If I'm honest, I wasn't sure what to expect from this climb. If the others started at a crazy pace, I would let them go, as while there is some draft to be had, the climb is very long and I didn't want to blow up really early. On the other hand, if the pace was hard but reasonable, I would then try to stay with the front as long as I could. And I would have to say the second scenario is what happened. The pace was quite steady all the way up through the climb. We all pushed a bit harder on the steeper sections and a bit less on the transitions between them. A couple of riders do push ahead a bit and get a small gap, but that gap is not large and stay pretty stable for most of the climb. For me, I did feel pretty strong going up, and I was monitoring my power and my heart rate. Given it's just over a 20-minute climb for me, on a good day, I was hoping I could hold around 315 watts on average before hopefully making a push in the last kilometer or so. I know if I start pushing much more than that for a few minutes, then I do run into trouble pretty quickly, so I was mindful of that going up the climb. In general, the climb went quite well for me. I was getting more and more tired, of course, as the climb went on, but I never really lost sight of the front riders. But with around 2 kilometers to go or so, the gap did start to increase a bit. I keep plugging on though. I know it's way too far to go for a final push, so I just hope I will not lose too much time, as Mr. Horning in the front now was slowly pulling away from all of us. I push a bit to get over the last steep section, and with around a kilometer to go, I am preparing for the final push. I did have to rest here a little bit as I was quite tired, but then I get going and I have an okay push in the last 500 meters or so. In the end, I finished 7th on the stage, and I actually set my second best ever 20-minute power here. So can't complain about that. Actually quite happy with my performance. So in the end, I finished in 7th place on this stage from a start pen of around 30 riders. I'm happy with that, especially since I wasn't sure how I would cope with that last climb on really tired legs. Turns out I shouldn't have worried, as I actually ended up PBing on the Innsbruk KOM, which I'm really surprised at, but also pleased with. And I didn't lose too much time, some 40 seconds to the winner. It could have been a lot worse, that is for sure. The winner was Mr. Horning, who I also think had the fastest time on the ITT yesterday. Clearly a very, very strong rider, especially today, as I think he's around 90 kilos, so to win a climbing stage is really impressive. And I'm happy to see Timo did really well also. He has now been upgraded to CRP from GHT, which, frankly, is where he belongs after all. Strong riding, Timo, to get upgraded. Welcome.
All right, post-race thoughts. Wow, tough race. And I must say, I'm really looking forward to the rest day tomorrow. Can't come soon enough. But I'm happy with that race. Felt good the whole way, even going up the climb at the end, which is a real slog. I felt strong and I pushed towards the end. I should have started pushing a little bit earlier. Not that it really would have mattered in the results, but I could have maybe squeezed a couple seconds off the guys in front of me. Who knows? Who cares? On the really positive side, I think I broke my 1-minute power record going up the Legsnapper the first time. I think I averaged around 600 watts up the Legsnapper, which is really good for me. And the best thing is, I wasn't even going all out. I think I had quite a bit left in the tank there when I got to the top actually. So that's really good news for the future. And I think I also had my second best power ever for 20 minutes going up the hill at the end. And considering we'd already raced for an hour, not that hard mind, but we've been in the saddle for an hour and 4 days of hard racing in the legs, plus the ITT last night. Yeah, really good, really happy with that, can't complain at all. I even had a bit left at the end to go for a push. And I should have started that a little bit earlier, I think. Maybe I would have gained a few seconds, but that wouldn't have mattered in the end. So, the winner, Mr. Horning, super strong rider, wow. And he's a heavier guy as well. And he won against some pretty good riders, I think, going up that hill at the end. So, chapeau to him, really strong. My old friend Timo BMX was there as well. I think I was a couple seconds ahead of him. Whew. But he pushed me again. Thanks, Timo. Appreciate that. All right, rest and recover, and then we go again on Friday. But I'm kind of looking forward to it now. This seems like the form is really coming on. I'm feeling almost stronger every day. So hopefully a rest day is not going to spoil that. So I'll go for a short spin tomorrow, very, very light, just to keep the legs ticking over. And then again, we go on Friday. Rest day coming up. Can't wait. Can't wait. And I really, really don't want to start thinking about stage 7 yet. But I suppose we have to, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Well, there sure is nothing petite about stage 7 on the Petite Douleur course. In total, we'll do 39 kilometers with 600 meters of climbing, so another tough stage. And this is another stage where the lead-in is likely to catch people out, as it is significant. In fact, the lead-in is almost 11 kilometers long and includes one climb up the Petite KOM. This picture showing now is a better indication of what the lead-in plus the first lap of the course looks like. We then do one more lap of the course, which starts and finishes at the top of the Petite KOM. So in total, we'll do the Petite KOM 3 times. Apart from the Petite KOM, the rest of the course is quite flat, with one sprint segment, the Ballon Forge sprint. But all of the action and likely race separation will take place on the Petite KOM. Compared to the Innsbruk KOM we did on stage 6, this one is much smaller, but it's still a significant climb. And do remember, we will do it 3 times in this race. At 2.7 kilometers long, with just over 100 meters of climbing, at an average gradient of 3.9%, this will prove a separation point during the race, no doubt about it. It is, however, quite draftable for most sections, but it's one of those deceptively long climbs, and for most people this will take a bit over 5 minutes and will put a lot of hurt into the legs. As an example, I looked at a race I did not too long ago where this climb features. As you can see, it took me 5 minutes 38 seconds at an average of 346 watts, or just over 4.4 watts per kilo for me. As such, I wouldn't be surprised if we will see quite a few 5-minute power PBs during this race. And I think I'll need to go a bit faster than this example to stay with the front. But hey, I am due a new 5-minute power PB, so bring it on.
But don't you get too cocky.
No sir, no I won't. And going up the climb 3 times will be painful indeed. Especially the last time around if you're still in the front group, as it will be full gas then, again. As for wheel choice, this one is again a bit tricky. I think lighter riders should use the disc wheels, as the climb is not that long and draftable. For slightly heavier riders, the disc wheels I feel are still a decent option, but the NV 7.8s or the die-cut 62s probably provides a good compromise between being aero but still able to climb okay. I'm yet to decide myself, but I think I'm leaning towards the die-cut 62s for this race.
Stage 6, done. And after tomorrow's well-earned rest day, we move on to stage 7. I think we can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but the last bit of this tunnel is going to be the most painful yet. This is Sam, trying to spin to win on Swift, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.